All right, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of Beyond the Naked Eye. I am joined today by former Junior C, Junior B, and aspiring TV presenter. It's Braden Nevnasty Neville. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, buddy? How's it going?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm really excited for this podcast.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay, so I just want to break down this podcast in segments because, I feel like you've done quite a few things, and I'm interested to know about it. So first, I want to talk about hockey. So I know you're a big hockey guy,
Yep.
but one thing I was really curious about, was where did that start? What got you into hockey?
First thing, I for as long as I can remember, I loved hockey. So I probably started skating when I was like 3 years old, 4 years old, and then I don't know. I just always loved watching hockey. My dad, my family, all was really into hockey, so I was just kind of born into it. And when I was 5, I think it was probably 5 years old when I started my first year of initiation hockey. And so it kind of just started there, and then went on through minor hockey and then junior, and then I played at college level a bit. And I just kind of started really young, pretty much as long as I can remember. I've really been into hockey. It was pretty much my life for a long time.
Would you say your family got you into it, or is it more like something you picked up yourself?
No, I'd say definitely my family. I had a lot of cousins. I had older cousins that played hockey, and my grandpa was a huge hockey guy, a big stat guy. He'd have his newspapers and his books all out with lineups and players, and so him and my dad, my uncles, everyone was just into hockey. So it just kind of I just kind of born into it. As long as I can remember, I just loved hockey.
Didn't your grandfather play some sort of church team or something, or?
Yeah. So my cousin, but he's old enough to definitely be my uncle, but he's a priest. So his name's Father Grant Neville. And so he used to play for, what happened was he was a really good hockey player, very good hockey player, and he could have went to the NHL.
Oh, really?
But he ended up deciding to become a priest instead because he was very religious. So it was him and a bunch of other priests formed a team called the Flying Fathers, and they would go
I love that name.
They would travel across North America and play against NHL teams. So the Montreal Canadiens, the Maple Leafs, he played against Gretzky, Guy Lafleur, all the biggest stars. And so these guys they're a group of priests that would fly around North America playing charity hockey games to raise money for different charities. And so he would basically play against every legend you can think of from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And he was on the Coach's Corner with Don Cherry, and they actually wrote a book. There's a book about them too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's a huge. Father Grant's a really he's a great guy, and he was definitely pretty famous for the Flying Fathers. So he wouldn't tell you that, but he would.
Was he your main influence in hockey, or was it somebody else? Or
honestly, I think my main influence, my dad was obviously, he watched hockey, so always he played hockey too growing up, and my grandpa coached hockey. And so it was kind of just, I think it was definitely just my dad was probably the main influence.
All right. So obviously you just mentioned it earlier, how you said that as you got older, you were progressing into different stages of hockey. So my question to you is how did it feel going from to a more and more advanced and difficult stage? Was it something that was oh shit, I might be a pro, or were you just I'm happy to be here?
Well, honestly, it was just happy to be playing the game. And obviously I wanted to play at the highest level. I knew I wasn't at the level that I was going to be able to play in the NHL or anything like that. It's not even 1% of hockey players do that. It's pretty hard to do, but I wanted to play at least as high level as I could. And when I would be playing minor hockey, even like when I was playing for the Ottawa Valley Aces, every night we were in a different town or city that was 2-3 hours away. So it was straight out of school, and I'd leave school early and I'd be driving 3 hours to a game, and then it'd be a late drive back, and then back the next day, do it all over. So, but I loved it. It was just fun to be around the guys and just play hockey. I would play hockey every day, and it didn't feel like I was working or anything. It was just, I just loved to do it. So the higher the level I played, the more it was just more exciting. When you start to have people watching, or it gets more and like it's more fun.
Could you like because I'm honestly not the biggest hockey dude. Could you like break down like the leagues? So it's junior C, junior B, and then is it OHL?
Then there's junior A, and then there'd be OHL.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, and then there's like NCAA and all that too. But yeah, I wasn't at the level of to get to the OHL for sure.
Hmm.
But I did have a lot of buddies I played with that played in the OHL. And I have buddies who are in the NHL, a couple buddies. So it's there's a lot of guys who kind of took the same path as me, but were just obviously more talented and made it to the NHL. But yeah.
So I know you kind of talked about how you were just like grateful to be there and everything, but that once you actually stopped playing hockey, like how bad did it hurt that you couldn't actually like progress? Did it sting you, or is it just like move
Honestly,
on?
yeah, it's tough, like, because the thing is once you can't play junior anymore, you can't play, you get to the age of like 21, and if you haven't gone anywhere from there, and then you're not doing anything. So it's kind of just like at that point, it just turns into beer leagues and intramural leagues or whatever it is you can find to play. And it just honestly for me, once the competitiveness was kind of gone from the game, I lost a lot of my interest in hockey. I still play hockey, but it definitely wasn't nearly as like exciting as it once was when it felt like it meant something. And
Hmm.
so it definitely was it was difficult in a lot of ways, but I mean I feel like that's what every hockey player goes through unless they're playing pro. So I mean it was it was fun while it lasted, but yeah, it definitely sucked a lot not being able to play at that competitiveness anymore.
Yeah, man, I could only imagine. What could you like? Could you tell me the timeline of like when you're playing like hockey? Was like so all through high school? You said you played college a little bit.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I played in. But probably my last year I played was probably I was 21, and then I played at a college like for college hockey in Kingston when I went to SLC, and then that was pretty much it after that. But yeah, really, basically my last real competitive years of hockey, I was 18, 19. So like it wasn't like I was 25 years old still playing. Like it just
Hmm.
that's what happens though. It kind of sucks. And other things like you have other things going on in life, so kind of pushes it to the side.
One thing I wanted to mention actually was I know you brought this up, but I don't really know the specifics of it. When you're a kid, I remember you told me that you were in a bad like car accident.
Yeah.
How badly did that like affect your hockey and like your life in general?
Well, it definitely really affected my hockey at that level because I was 11 years old, which is a big developmental age for not only for your body and like the way you're growing, but also like your mental and all that. So when I was 11 years old, I got hit by a Jeep. And I broke my leg in 4 places, and my foot was cut open. It was literally hanging like this, and
Oh my God.
so yeah, my skin, my elbow, my head, everything was all like messed up. So I got airlifted by a helicopter to CHIO in Ottawa, which is like a children's hospital. Then I spent a couple weeks there, and I think it was like a week and a half, or 2 weeks. I forget, but it felt like an eternity.
Hmm.
But yeah, so basically, I was in a wheelchair for a year. Um,
Wow.
so so it was tough because as a kid, I was playing really like I was a good hockey player. Like I mean, for my age, that like where I was living. So to see all my friends still playing and I can't even walk, it was kind of like it was tough. So after about a year, I got off my cast and I hadn't walked in a year, so it was kind of getting back to that, like being the first thing I had to worry about was learning how to walk again. But as soon as I started to get a little bit of movement in my leg, I got back on the ice as quick as I could. So it was, but that was a tough year because it was a very important age for my like development. So I mean,
Hmm.
I feel like that definitely hurt me in towards of being even better than I could have been.
Um, I know obviously like you're a kid when this happens, but like would you say that it took a toll on your mental health?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, it wasn't easy. I was I was going through a lot. It was my head wasn't really I was pretty scared, and sleeping at night was tough. So I had to, I definitely had to talk to a couple people. And like, at that age, you don't really understand what's going on. So but it was definitely took a big toll on me for a while. And, I went through it and, after a while it got better and, but for about a year, it wasn't fun at all. It was terrible.
Hmm. I mean, one of those things that's like when you're a kid, I don't really think you understand like how serious mental health is. But obviously, when you're a kid, sometimes some minor things can seem so extraordinary. So, like you said, you're in the hospital for a few weeks, but as a kid, that must be like terrifying. And then you said you're like in a cast for a year. Like, it's obviously a question where you kind of have to tread lightly because you're a kid. You don't really understand mental health. But I can only imagine, man, like a whole year.
Yeah, no, it was tough for sure. But I mean, like even though it was terrible, you just got to think like there's a lot worse that's could be going on. So
Oh, damn, man. Did you think that like it kind of affected you maybe potentially being a pro? Are you like, did you think in your head like, oh man, if I was like 100%, I would have made it? Or is that just like no excuses?
I don't know if I per se would have made it, but I definitely think my chances of playing a higher level than what I did would have been a lot better if that didn't happen. Like it would have. I feel as though missing out on that year really it hurt my chances of going any higher level than what I did. So yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, I don't know if I would have necessarily gone pro still, but I think I could have played a higher level than what I did.
Because I like you always hear that joke where it's like, "Oh man, I would have been pro if it wasn't for my
Yeah,
bum
exactly.
knee."
That's why I don't want to say that, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, 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 yeah. I
I'm 11
understand
years
that.
old, like, so it's not like I don't know if it would have maybe affected me that, but I do think I would have played even higher level than I would have
Hmm.
or wouldn't than I did. Sorry.
Yeah, like I said, like you always hear that joke, but like your injury sounded really fucking serious. Like,
Hmm.
like apparently you have like a bunch of scars and like your
Yeah, I do.
foot,
Yeah,
like
my bone literally is. It's still like I can show you actually.
yeah, yeah, sure,
I don't
do it
know if you're able to see this, but it's like
for the sake of the podcast.
see that there
Oh,
bump,
yeah,
and then my ankle's scarred up too.
it
You can't
looks
really.
like it looks like your shin's like swollen
Yeah,
almost.
I know. Yeah, it's like it's always like sticking out there. So
Also,
I had pins in my leg and rods in my foot,
oh man,
keeping it together. So
so is that area still like super sensitive now?
oh yeah, if it gets hit the wrong way for sure, yeah. And I
Oh
can't
really?
top of my foot. I can't really feel the top of my foot. It's like a numb, tingly feeling.
So like if someone wants to kick you in the shin, that's like game over.
Yeah, I shouldn't be saying that. I just revealed my weakness, but if I
So
ever
like
want to go into UFC or something, now I'm screwed.
like no soccer for you anytime soon.
No, well, I played soccer growing up, but I had shin pads.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you play a lot of other sports, or is it just hockey was like the main
No,
thing?
I played hockey. I played soccer. I was a really good soccer player. Soccer was actually one of my best sports. Baseball. I pitched in baseball. I played basketball, high school, cross country, track.
Damn,
um, pretty much everything I could play. If I had time, I'd play it. Yeah.
damn. Were you just that guy in the yearbooks like every fucking page? Braden Neville,
Pretty
Braden
much.
Neville, Braden
I
Neville.
was on the badminton team, bro.
Damn, man.
I pretty much played every sport. I'm not gonna lie. Volleyball. I even played volleyball for a year, and I hated volleyball. So.
You just did it for like the boost.
Yeah, exactly.
Like yeah,
I just had to miss school and play sports all day. Why not?
it's like bro, find me on every page.
Yeah, literally, I was that guy.
I love that. Okay, one switching the topic here, kind of. One serious question I really want to ask you. I want to pick your brain on this. You always hear like in high school, and I experienced this myself, is that common archetype that like, oh, the people who play sports, they're like the jocks, they're bullies. But
Yeah,
one thing I heard about you was you actually got an award for your kindness towards the handicapped in your last year of high school. So
yeah,
like, what is your thoughts towards that stereotype of like, oh, all these hockey players are bullies, they're assholes?
yeah. Oh no. Well, wow, you did your for one good job doing your research.
Like you.
But honestly, I mean, I kind of agree in a lot of ways that a lot of people, athletes, and get people like hockey players, I do agree that a lot of them are assholes. Like there's a lot. There is a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like I saw it firsthand. Like even like I played with guys, and I thought they were like some guys that play they just look down on people, and it's just the way some athletes are. Obviously, I don't think everyone's like that. Every athlete, like I like to think that I wasn't like that. But yeah, so whenever I got that award, it was there was kids with like disabilities, a lot of like kids that they would do gym class with us, and then they had disabilities. So I would always just do gym with them because I just found them more exciting and like
Mhm.
more like I don't know, it just made it. I just found it more fun, to be honest. They just seem like they're having way more fun over there playing ball. Like I'd watch them play volleyball. It just seemed like they're having a great time, or like So I always kind of had a soft spot for them. And at one point, I wanted to be an EA. I was thinking about doing
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about doing that. It was kind of in my mind. So I wasn't sure really, but I would hang out with them at lunchtime. A bunch of guys or just a bunch of good lads that were at our school, and I just thought they were great guys and they're a lot of fun to be around. So I would hang out with them at lunchtime sometimes. Actually, funny story. There's one guy I knew. He was his name was TJ, and he had a electric chair. So if you had like like you had like the little stick, and it's like the
Mhm.
electric chair. So me
Yep.
and him had a spare together. So every day at spare, we'd be in the cafeteria, and we would set up like chairs and like a little obstacle course around the calf, and then I
Mhm.
get a timer out. So we'd like do the obstacle in his chair. He'd get out, sit in the couch, and then I'd do the obstacles in his chair, and we'd time each other.
Oh, that's
We
so
would do that a
wholesome.
lot. That was pretty
Love that.
fun. But yeah, no, I always liked I always had a soft spot for people with special needs or anything. I don't know why. I just always found them more fascinating, more fun than anyone like.
Well, I actually really appreciate honesty to that question. But do you think if you have to get to the highest level, you kind of need an ego?
No, I don't think so because hockey. Well, if you're talking about in terms of hockey, I don't think. I think it's one of those sports where you should keep your ego away from the team and away from just. But obviously, a lot of guys have an ego. But I think the best players in the world, like Connor McDavid, or he doesn't have an ego at all. He's just he's just himself. He doesn't
Hmm.
go up there. He's not disrespecting people or saying I'm the best. Like sports like maybe like UFC, I think you definitely need an ego for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Like, but I think in terms of hockey, that's one sport where you want to leave the ego at the door.
Oh, I respect that. Yeah. Um, so now switching topics. You went to Queens for marketing. Is that right?
I took a program through St. Lawrence, and it was the degree was through Queens.
Okay. So how was that whole experience?
It was the partying and
Like,
the
I think in general, like the actual education, the social
I
life,
like
like all together.
well, I mean, education was good, but I wasn't as good of a student as I would have liked to be. So I was
Conservative answer.
yeah. So basically, I mean, like I loved it. I loved Kingston, and if anyone's ever lived in Kingston, I'm sure they'd tell you the same thing. It's pretty wild. It's a party town for sure. Like don't let Queens and St. Lawrence and all the like schools and like all the academics fool you. That place is a zoo. And so like honestly it was one of the best times of my life for sure. But like I mean I lived in a house with basically a frat house, so
Hmm.
it was like eight me and eight of my best friends all in this big giant house. And we
Hmm.
had like so every light in the house wasn't a regular light. We had like purple, green, blue, and then this was before those LED strips because I'm old, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Shit. So this is like before that. So we literally had a stripper pole in the living room. I would come out of my bedroom and the stripper pole is right in front of my living room every morning before school. I'd spin on the stripper pole.
Just for good luck, you know.
We put LED lights, like black lights in every room. My bedroom was just black lights. So you'd walk in there and it was literally just black lights. Like I mean, like it was just if my room was a mess and like I didn't want anyone to notice, I just turn the light off, put on the black light. So they're like, oh, it's cool, but really there's all over the floor. But we would have huge parties. We completely destroyed this house, like completely. We didn't get our damage deposit. We had like a damage deposit of like a few $1,000s. We did not get it back. We just like, parties every weekend. Like we had one time we bought 1,000 glow sticks and we had black lights in every room. And we cut the glow sticks in half and we sprayed the walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything. And it looked like it was crazy. It was like a nightclub, but we had bands. We had a band in our basement for one of the parties.
Oh my goodness. It sounds like quite the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that though, the school was good too. I learned some stuff, I guess. But yeah, I took marketing. So I took marketing and I kind of used that, the stuff I learned.
Do you even remember it?
Honestly, man, a lot of it I definitely do not remember. I do not remember. There was.
Oh man, I should have prepared myself because the second I say Queens, big ass smile on your face, like what, the partying?
Yeah, no, that place was nuts. Like my one roommate, he actually owns the house I live in now, which is weird. So the house I'm living in here, but my roommate at the time in Kingston, his name is Rafi. He lived with me there, and it was a zoo. And it's just funny because we rented a house together and destroyed it, and now I'm renting a house from him.
Hope you don't destroy it.
It's just weird how it works. But what I was gonna say is, yeah. So it's just a quick story. He used to work at this nightclub, and he was a bouncer, and it was like the biggest nightclub in Kingston. And he would be like at the door like this, and then every night when I'd go there, I would always like try and surprise him. So I'd always jump on him and put him in a chokehold, and all the bouncers would start running over. He'd be like, "No, it's my roommate." And I did it every night for like 6 months straight.
Or did they jump on you every single time?
Yeah, they would all just come at me. He'd be like, "No, it's my roommate," and then they'd let me in. I wouldn't have to wait.
Like 2 months deep, they're just like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, is this guy again?"
I got to a point where they literally just like, "Just go in. We don't even want you waiting in line."
Oh man, I mean, my next question is, do you regret it? But I don't think you regret a single thing.
I do have a lot of regrets. I'm not about kidding. I do for sure, but I don't regret it in the sense of like, yeah, no, I there's things you regret, but like if you think about it too much, then you'll kill yourself with you'll kill yourself with frustration about what you could have did and should have did. So I definitely just no, I don't regret anything. So it happened. It made me who I am.
Did you did you graduate from Queens?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you got your degree, and then you're going into that industry. What exactly were you doing for like work?
So after I left Kingston in St. Lawrence, and I went to work for my dad, who he owns a car dealership and a body shop back home. And so basically when I went back home, I kind of took control of the body shop, and they also sold cars there as well. And then we did like custom work and all that. And so I worked there for him, and it was cool working for him. And I did all the advertising, like I made the radio commercials. I did like the newspaper write-ups and like controlled the website and all that. And I did that for a while. And I worked with him, and it was really awesome. I love working with my dad. He's a great guy, and he's a great boss. So I mean, sometimes I've tried to push the limit a few times. Obviously, when your dad's your boss, you're gonna, I had a couple hungover days maybe, but no, it was great. I loved working for him. He taught me a lot, so it definitely helped. It was pretty nice to work with him.
So you said you did like commercials and stuff for.
Yeah, I would like go to a radio station, and I would like make a commercial with the girl, because I was like the voice for Neville Motors. And then we did a different ads when I'd be like going through ad campaigns with their marketing people, and kind of just like, going through like times when you want the commercials, or how many ads, or doing packs, like that kind of stuff.
So do you think that's what got you into broadcasting?
I actually, you know what? It did kind of open my eyes a bit to how cool some aspects of it were. I always wanted to be in broadcasting, I think, in the back of my mind, but I just never thought like, broadcasting is not one of those things you think you can do. I don't know. Like the
Hmm.
average person doesn't think like, oh, oh, that's a job I can do. Like I could be on TV. Like
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I just thought like that was just like they just make these guys in a lab and then they're on
Yeah.
TV. But like
Mhm.
when I kind of started to realize like it's a possibility. It's like I've always wanted to do it. I was like, I feel like if I didn't go for it, I wouldn't.
That is an interesting point though, because sometimes you see them on TV. It's like they're not even human.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like they all have lives of their own, families of their own. It's like that's sometimes, but there's just sometimes they're just so good at what they do. It's like,
Yeah, it's
damn.
insane. It's insane. I
Um,
want to be like that. I want to be on that level. So
yeah, you want,
I just
yeah.
want Tom Otto to compliment me.
Shout out to Tom Otto.
Otto, if you don't know who Tom Otto is, you should.
If you know, you know.
Oh, he's a legend.
So you said that in the back of your mind, that's what you always wanted to do. How early on? Because like, was that? So I kind of want to. So, like when you're in that stage of playing like junior hockey, like advanced hockey, was that still in your head, or was it like you said it was in the back of your head? Was that always in the back of your head, or did something click that's like I want to fucking do that?
Yeah, like I think I always because I don't know when I was young I used to always put on shows like for my like we'd be at my grandpa and grandma's and I'd always be like doing like trying to be the host of like competitions. So I'd be like getting everyone to do a talent show, but I never had my talent. My talent was presenting everyone else's talent. And then when I was in elementary school, I like emceed the talent, or I would do the MC the talent show. I would MC the speaking competitions. But I realized my talent was to introduce other people's talent, and and so I mean like I always liked doing that and like hosting and like the idea of hosting something or being. So I also always looked at the guys on TSN. And I was like wow, like they're so lucky to be doing that job. And I don't know, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, why not just go for it?
So how long did you work with your dad for? Like how long did it go from okay, I'm going to work with my dad. This is the job to I don't know. Maybe I want to do broadcasting. What was that timeline like? How long was it?
It was I probably worked there for about 3-4 years, maybe 3 years,
Oh,
maybe. I think it could be less. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it. But yeah, no, I think I always loved doing that, but I also knew like the thought of doing broadcasting just kept getting more and more in my mind, and I just kept like it's something I just wanted to try, and my dad really respected that, and he wants me to do whatever my mom and dad want me to do whatever makes me happy. So they were all on board when I told them that I was gonna do it, and they thought it was a great idea. And also, my dad loves Niagara, and my mom and dad love Niagara,
oh,
so
really?
basically just gave them an excuse now to visit and have a free place to stay.
There
So
you go. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so you just said that for like a couple of years, that thought of going into broadcasting kind of grew and grew and grew. How did it feel actually like applying to college and doing that all over again? Was it
honestly,
like oh fuck me, I gotta do this shit again? Or it's like I'm super psyched.
I was super psyched. I honestly was super psyched because like I just wanted also like I love where I'm from, Petawawa, but I wasn't sure if that's where I wanted to stay, for the rest of my life. And I love it. Like don't get me wrong, it's a great place, but like I just wanted to explore. I wanted to like explore more, and then going to college to me was going back to college was just like honestly like a breath of fresh air. Just like I was so excited, and I started applying to schools and then yeah, like I had no idea what I was doing. Some of them would be like edit a video and send it to us about yourself. I'm like, I don't even know how do I edit a video? Like I don't know how to do any of that. So
You're still trying to figure out Blackboard, eh, Braden?
yeah, I just figured it out like yesterday. So, but no, it's yeah, it was really cool to be able to come back to school. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was good.
I memean, that's good. I think one thing that because how old were you when you first like you're 27 now?
No, I'm
26?
25.
Oh, you're 25. Okay, so I guess you first applied when you were 24
Uh,
to NC?
I think I was 23.
Okay.
23, I believe.
So I feel like a common like stereotype, not stereotype, but like a stigma is like, oh man, like like you always have to go into college as soon as you're done high school. And
Yeah.
people don't realize that it's okay to take a few years off, and that's what I did. Like I obviously applied when I was 20, so I needed
Yeah.
time to make money and do stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm actually it's really nice to hear that like you just went in with a positive mindset, and obviously knowing you're a very positive dude, so I'm not surprised. But obviously, if that was maybe me in your situation where it's like, ugh, like I this isn't it, and I have to go back to school again for like because it's a 3 year program. Broadcasting's a 3 year program, at least at Niagara
Yeah.
College. So I'm really glad to hear that you're just like, let's fucking do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's literally just like, I don't really think like being 26 and getting a job is going to be much a difference of being 21 and getting a job. Like it's something you're going to be doing for 20, 30 years. Like what does it matter if you're in your 20s, late 20s when you start, right? If it's something you plan on doing for your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
if I
think
don't do it now, my 20s, like even I don't even see the problem being in your 30s and going back to school, right? Because like you have a lot of time to do that job. So like me, it wasn't really like I wasn't embarrassed to go back to school. I wasn't anything like that. Like I just like wanted to because I knew that's what I wanted to do.
I think one important saying that actually was on my previous podcast with my friend Dona, shout out to Dona, was life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. I like that.
Yeah, that's a great saying. Great saying. All right, so now we're at now we've caught up. It's now modern day, and I kind of want to ask you about this because I know you do this on the side. Like, what got you into music and DJing?
Oh, well, DJing was I've always loved DJs. I've always been into EDM. I've always loved EDM music. And so really actually the way I started DJing goes back to Kingston. We basically so we'd throw these huge parties and so we wanted people to come to our parties. And so we made up that there was a big DJ headlining at our party. So what we did was we made flyers, like hundreds of flyers, and we were like, because like I had a turntable set, but I didn't even know how to use it. So we made a DJ booth, and I'm like, I'll be a DJ. We'll say it's like a professional DJ coming in. I wore like all these like fancy clothes, and we made a DJ booth in the corner. We had the turntables, and I'm like, we'll call. I'm like DJ No Request. That's my DJ name. And I'm pretty sure I was pretty drunk when I made up this idea because
that's a great name.
So yeah, DJ No Request.
I love that.
We literally made flyers, like hundreds of flyers, and we went to residence, like a huge residence building, okay, in Kingston. And me and my buddy went into residence, and under every single door, we put this flyer: party at this address, featuring professional or like DJ No Request live for free. And we put them under everyone's door. Like these are hundreds of people like live in this building. And then and then eventually our party, it was nuts. It was packed. There's tons of people. And then I was DJ No Request. It was just born. So at the time I didn't know how to DJ. So what I do is I had the turntables set up, but I was really just playing YouTube mixes. But everyone thought I was a real DJ. So like, bro, this DJ is sick. But I was just up there pretending to do it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop being a poser and actually learn how to do this.
You really did fake it till you make it. Like you actually lived through that.
I was a DJ before I was a DJ.
I love that story so much.
After that, people started to get me to DJ for them in different events and stuff. And then I just went from there.
You know what I actually thought, though? I thought you would have got that love for music from back in high school when you did a solo in a High School Musical.
Oh my goodness, bro. How do you know that, bro? Yeah,
I have my sources.
I did do a musical in high school. Yeah, it was yeah, I got a solo. I had to sing Never Gonna Give You Up.
Oh my god.
And I had like the full
all songs.
I had like a full background, like I had the background dancers, the full band. I was in a suit, and my character had to ask this girl to prom. He's like, so like, and the girl didn't like him because he was like kind of like a dumb jock in the musical, which was perfect for me to play. And so then I'm like singing to this girl, and I'm like dancing, Never Gonna Give You Up, and then the background dancers, and then afterwards, I like do the big long note and I sit beside her and she rejects me. So it was great.
Oh.
It was awesome.
I heard people were surprised by how good you could sing. Maybe that's something
Yeah,
else we should pursue.
I mean, I did a lot I practiced a lot. So like, I mean, it worked out. I was surprised I even got the part because I didn't even like, it was our musical for our drama class, but it was like a huge production. Like it was
Hmm.
big. Like they did like 5 shows and it was like packed. And I just had to like I had to audition as part of my class. Like it was part of your grade. So I had to sing. So I sang for my 2 teachers in an elevator room because I was too scared to sing in front of the class. And then I think I was in Florida, and my buddy called me. He's like, "Yo, you got a lead in the musical." And he's like, what the fuck?" So I'm like thinking to myself, like, "Oh shit, now I gotta sing in front of the whole school and in front of all like these elementary schools and all these parents every night." And I was like, "Oh my god, what did I just get myself into?" But it ended up being great. I loved it. I broke out of my shell, and by the end of it, I was singing in front of people and no problem.
Uh, wow, like
Yeah.
that's actually pretty. I mean, I still feel bad for you. You still got rejected to this day, but I mean that's a great story.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it was wild. It was funny.
um,
You figured that one out. That's funny. You're good. You're doing good.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. I want to see. I'm enjoying this so far. I can't wait to like interview more and more people.
Yeah, bro. I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited.
Yeah. So going back into like um, like into the industry standpoint or like what you're doing for work, career wise. Now, obviously, the premise of this podcast is not to talk about politics. I don't want to get into that,
Hmm.
but we're kind of moving into a society where you have to be politically correct,
Yep.
especially in the broadcasting industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know you're a bit of a outspoken guy, and you're not the biggest fan of the current prime minister. And, and you have your views, and I respect that. I'm not going to argue with you. But
Yep.
my question to you is going into broadcasting, which is like a very, especially if you want to get into like a big job, you have to be very politically correct. I mean, look what happened to Don Cherry. Is
Yep.
that something you constantly think about? Like, oh shit, if I say this, this could be all over.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, obviously, I'll talk politics with like close friends and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, no, it's definitely something. If you are gonna post something political, try not to make it completely ridiculous. Like, maybe like if there's something like you agree with, I
Hmm.
find I think it's okay to like share something you agree with that someone's doing. Like maybe if you're whether you're liberal or conservative, if the person you like that's representing you does something you like, I think it's fine to say you like it.
Hmm.
I think some political posts could be really bad, like without any statistic, like any value, like or any actual, like, you know what I mean, like that is that even true, you know?
Hmm.
So I mean, I think it depends what you're doing, but obviously, um, as we get closer towards next year when we're in the workplace, I think I'm just gonna completely not talk about politics. But I feel like I'm pretty good with like I don't really say anything ridiculous or anything like that.
Hmm.
I mean, like I respect everyone's political views, whether like my girlfriend, she's got different views than I do, and
Hmm.
we get along just great, so it's fine.
I think that's good. So, I mean, obviously, like I said before, you like to you have strong opinions, right?
Yeah,
And that's perfectly fine. But it's like I think one thing because even what happened to Don Cherry, which in my opinion is ridiculous, my personal opinion, it's
yeah, that
ridiculous.
was a bit much.
But it's like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like even one small thing,
Yep,
like can just and you're done.
yep,
Is
for sure.
that never really worries you? You just like
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't be if I when I'm in if I'm in that when I'm in that industry, there's no chance I'm even gonna like you won't even know anything about my political views. I'll tell you that.
I mean I mean that's good.
You will, Brian.
Yeah, I always will.
Because we're
Always
friends, we
will.
can talk about this,
Yeah,
but
yeah. We could talk about this off camera.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, my one of my final questions to ask you, at least
Mhm.
part of this segment, is what do you want to do 5 years down the line? Like, do you have short-term goals?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to be working for a network that is sports network would be the goal. For some reason, I really like sports. That's the goal, and like obviously Sportsnet, TSN, but something along the lines of that, of some sort of sports network or doing something with sports. Also, Lately I've been really into like news and stuff like that. So like I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't even be mad if I went down that route,
Hmm.
like doing news or like actual serious, like outside of sports, like I'd be fine with that either or.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty much reporting, like serious reporting would be cool.
Hmm. I think obviously you gotta get to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. I feel like this is a really good industry to get your foot in the door because everyone's always looking for volunteer stuff, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But one thing I kind of want to pick your brain about this is one thing I'm kind of scared about is obviously, and the professors always talk about this is financial security. So
Yeah.
if do you think if this is an industry, like once you're actually in the work field, once you're doing your thing, are you gonna be like, if I'm not making money, I bail? Or are you just gonna do it regardless?
Well, I mean, money has obviously anyone who says money it doesn't matter to them, in my opinion, is lying. So yeah, as long as I'm making enough money where I'm comfortable and I can do my job and live my life comfortably, that's fine. But if it ever got to a point where it was, I wasn't living comfortably, then no, I would probably have to. Like, I love broadcasting, but I mean,
Hmm.
but I feel like that would be anyone, right?
Hmm.
And then where we're trying to work, like I mean, the big jobs are in Toronto. So if we do end up in Toronto, or like if my like that's where I want to be.
Hmm.
Uh, Obviously, you're gonna want to have some money because it's not cheap to
Hmm.
live
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair. And you know what? I think that's a good way to end this segment.
for sure.
Okay, so now this is my next segment. It's the final part. It's really quick, and then after that, I promise I got a present for you. So this
Cool.
segment is I'm going to ask you questions, but
Okay.
the difference is you just have to answer off the cuff. So no thinking, no debating, no nothing. Just straight up answer as soon as you can. Okay,
Okay.
you ready?
Okay.
All
Yep.
right, Braden, you have to answer steak or Vicky's jalapeno chips.
Steak. That's a tough one, bro.
No music or no movies?
Wait, sorry. Say that.
No music or no movies?
No movies.
TV or radio?
TV.
Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Rap or EDM?
EDM.
Go to a Leafs game or go to a music festival?
Uh, Frig, that one's good. Jeez, go to a Leafs game.
No arms or no legs?
No arms.
NBA or NFL?
NBA or NFL?
Yeah.
Woo. NFL.
Glass of whiskey or a good old tall boy?
Glass of whiskey.
And last but not least, a day of golf with friends or a good old match of chell with the friends?
Golf all day.
All right, buddy. That's quick fire. That's all. So I want to thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. And my gift to you, I want you to plug whatever you want, man. The stage is yours.
I appreciate you having me, Brian. I really flattered that you had me as a guest, buddy. I really like it. You did a great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Nevnasty95. And yeah, that's all. Go follow CRNC The Heat on Instagram. Me and my homegirl Hunter, we are running that page, and we have a lot of great talent there here at CRNC The Heat. So follow CRNC The Heat.
Shout out to Hunter. All right, man. So that's been another episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Brian.